three people were responsible for essentially the end of the Soviet Union. And the three people are Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, and Pope John Paul II. And I think there's a great deal of truth in it, but I mean, it was Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher who essentially decided that they were going to pursue a course which would inevitably lead to the Soviet Union being unable to compete. There was the whole rearmament, we had the cruise missiles, the Star Wars initiative. I mean, this was an ideological clash of two very different belief systems. But it was the good fortune that Russia chose a leader, or the Soviet Union chose a leader, who was willing to recognize that actually communism ultimately would not be able to compete with free market system, and so began to make the changes, and that was Gorbachev. And Gorbachev came to London. It was at the beginning of Perestroika and Glasnost, where the beginning of the end of the sort of deep freeze was taking place, and he talked to Margaret Thatcher famously at her country residence, Chequers, and that led her to make the public statement, "This is a man I can do business with." And they did have they recognised in each other certain things they had in common, and they, I think, between them, played a very great part in the dismantling of communism. And the fact that that system was replaced, and that we now have free countries, to a greater or lesser extent, across the whole of the old Eastern Bloc, is in large part due to her and to Ronald Reagan and indeed to Gorbachev. And the fact that it was achieved without serious conflict or bloodshed, I think, is an amazing achievement, and many people did not think was possible. So I would hope that history will be kind to Gorbachev, and he will be in St Paul's Cathedral next week.
Thank you.
What do you think about the prospects of the EU-Ukraine Association Agreement signature?
Anne can talk a little bit about that after I go. I still hope it could be achieved. Ukraine is doing a lot of the right things in terms of changing a lot of the economic systems, making the agreements, the reforms necessary in order to move closer to the European model. All that's fine. There is still serious concerns about the politics in Ukraine. There is very great anxiety amongst Western European countries about the political reforms, the legitimacy of some of the recent elections, particularly about the imprisonment of Mrs. Tymoshenko and the fairness of the judicial process that resulted in her conviction. Those are concerns which, I raise when I meet people like Mr. Kazara, who will be coming to London, I think, in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, and I should be seeing him then, and my Foreign Secretary does, and Anne at her level does, and we will make it clear there are things we are unhappy about. But in my view, it is going to help Ukraine if it can be brought closer to Europe and to be encouraged to go on moving along the road towards modern European Western democracy and economic freedom. And signing an association agreement is part of that process, and I personally would very much hope that it can still be achieved. But, it won't be easy. I think nobody will pretend that to be the case. And we'll give you the latest sort of view from the Foreign Office on where we've got to.
Sounds about right.
I better go off. I say this name dropping, but it's actually true that I've got to go from here and have lunch with David Cameron. So I'm sorry not to spend more. As I say, I spend quite a bit of my time talking to people from Ukraine. I have a great interest in your country. I do love your country. I enjoy coming to visit on a regular basis. And please feel free to get in touch if you think I can help.
Thank you.
I'm easy to find.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's absolutely fine. Hope it goes well. Thanks very much to John. I am, as John said, I'm the head of the desk that deals with Ukraine and also Belarus and Moldova.